I know it was the end of the 6-match unbeaten league run last weekend, but did the performance give you any more ideas of exactly where you are?
Well, we learned some things. I did. I think you can do in defeat sometimes. Said it after the game. I thought our performance in the first half wasn't how we'd want it. Sometimes good opponents can do that to you, and sometimes you've got to take a bit of responsibility yourselves. But the spirit in the end was good. We pushed to try and win the game in the end, and Premier League, so it happened. So important thing now is a reaction and what we do in our upcoming games.
We did see Dominic Calvert Lewin return, which is good news. Is he in your thoughts in terms of starting the game at Tottenham?
Well, yeah, it's great to have Dominic back. We're in a process with Dominic where he's not taking part in every part of training in terms of where we'd want to push him probably to get him completely match fit, just in terms of the process of getting him fit and robust and staying fit. So we'll just have to see that over the next days and weeks, how we get him to that optimum level and how quickly we can get him there.
James Garner as well, only a short while on the pitch, but you impressed with what you saw?
Yeah, very impressed. I thought to go up against your old team, the team that you came through with, adds a bit of pressure. I thought it was a good pressure for him because he came on and showed personality on the ball. Passed it well, got a shot that was nearly going into the top corner. So I had no doubts with James. He's a player for the now and for the future, of course. And there's competition in midfield, but he gives us something different, and he's more than ready to play for us.
You've got to make at least one change. Anthony Gordon suspended. Is that a cause of frustration at such an early stage of the season?
It just is what it is.
5 bookings in 9 games. It's
yeah,
a bit much.
Yep.
You told him?
Yeah, we speak a lot.
Just in terms of injury updates, I know Abdoulaye Doucouré wasn't in the matchday squad last weekend. Mason Holgate, Yerry, Mina, are we any closer to seeing them return?
Duke's had a family issue. I bet he's back in the squad for tomorrow. And Mason's training, not ready to be in the squad yet, but training really well. And Yerry had a little bit of a setback this week, so he won't be available.
Right. The performance at Tottenham last season, I think it's probably fair to say the worst performance since you've been manager. How far have you come since then, Frank?
I don't know. We've progressed. I remember the game well, and this is sort of one that sticks in the mind, and it's very easy to sort of like casually look at the result. I know the detail behind it and the team and the options that we had in the day. And I'm not belittling the team. I'm just saying that we suffered from 20 minutes onwards in that game, and Tottenham did a very strong performance, as they do, counter-attack, lots, goals that then gives them control of the game. So it's a long time ago. We've progressed. There's a lot of personnel changes. It's clear if you look at our starting 11 compared to that, or the selection options that I have. So it's in the back of our minds, but it's of no real relevance, is it, to what happens this weekend?
Do you see this run of fixtures as quite defining in terms of where you are and can be, given it was Man United last week and Tottenham and then Newcastle away on Wednesday?
You could probably say that about every run. You get past that and you go, what about these ones? You should win these ones. What does that mean for you? They're not easy questions to answer. Other than the Premier League will always throw up difficulties. People probably make us underdogs of both these games. We're away against strong teams. I get that. Let's enjoy that. Let's sort of understand it and see what we can do. We've shown things already this season that we can, maybe go against people's opinions of us. I've read a lot of opinions before the season. We were going down. I was number one to be leaving. All those things. It's nothing better than proving people wrong. So these 2 games are probably a situation like that, but they're not the end of the story for us. We've got ourselves in a position now where if we take 2 hits or 3 hits, we have to come back stronger. Because we took a lot of hits last year when I came in here, and before I was here. And the problem at that time was that we were on the floor when I came in terms of confidence. So now you look at us and go, okay, can we be stronger than that mentally as a club? Everybody, can we react? So these games are good tests for us, but they're not this big.
Players do seem to have more belief in their own ability and that of the whole squad now.
Yeah, but they've got a long way to go, and so have I, because I've got high standards, and my standards on Monday when I'm with my wife and children on a day off, thinking about football and disappointment of losing a game. That has to be tempered, because you have to come in and go, okay, now what are the positives? Where are we at? Yeah, we're progressing, but we mustn't ever think that we're near where we want to be, because we're not. I know that, and it's not a criticism of any player, even myself, because we've got work to be done. So that work's ongoing. A lot of the elements and the big elements of the team are fresh and new. You know, our back four, our midfield three, you know, players that have not played together, a 9, whatever it is. So we can't expect, I don't think anyone is expecting immediate answers, but can we progress every day and get a bit better? That's in our hands.
Thanks very much.
Frank, in terms of the squad, I know you've highlighted a couple of injuries you've still got that concern you, but is this the strongest squad you've had since you came here in terms of players available and fit to play?
Yeah, since I came here, yeah. Possibly, and that's, you know, as you say, we're missing players still, but yeah, we feels like we have really good, strong competition in lots of areas, and that was partly due to our recruitment and some movement, obviously, in the summer, working with players that are developing and getting better, and of course there are areas that we can get better at, whether it's, you know, training and work every day, or as we look into the future. But at the moment, we're in a decent place. Yeah.
Is that the first step then on the road to where you ultimately want to be, having competition in all areas of the field, so that you've got basically competition from within to be better? Yeah,
I mean, that's what makes, you know, good teams, isn't it? Whether you're talking about great teams who have, you know, world class, or, you know, can invest to a level where backup players are of a really, really high level. But throughout the Premier League now, the standard is such that most teams have real good competition in places, and the Tottenham game last year was actually a good example where we were really trying to put players in positions to try and find a way. Now it feels more like we have options that can keep us strong and keep competition strong. So yeah, we're not there, but we are in a stronger position.
What would your emotions be then going into this game when you meet a player that was so influential in getting this club out of trouble last season, Richarlison, now obviously at Spurs?
Nothing more than he's a good lad, and wish him well and shake his hand and all those things. I think he left with dignity, he left with his head held high, with his teammates, with myself, with the fans of the club. He gave everything for this club, so nothing more than that.
And on Tottenham as well, they're unbeaten at home this season in the Premier League. What is it about an Antonio Conte managed side that makes them so tough, so well structured?
It's just a great coach, isn't he? You know, I know that from his Chelsea days. I wasn't there, obviously, but he came in and took on a squad that were in a difficult position and won the league. So nobody can understate that. To go from, I think, 16th in the league or whatever it was the year before to champions was amazing. He's tended to do that and had great success in his career. They've got fantastic players, but with your coaching hat on, he's got a very clear, defined way of playing, and it's clearly well coached and well delivered, and they give you a huge threat, which I think we're all aware of. So yeah, I've got nothing but the highest things to say about him as a coach, but also they have these players that especially, well, not just at the top end of the pitch, they're the showstoppers that we see, you know, last night, but at the same time they're a very, very good unit, and fair play to them.
And just finally from me, I mean, you played it in a lot of European football games during the course of your career. People will talk about them having a heavy fixture schedule, Everton having had a week to prepare for them. Does it benefit Everton, or if you're playing and winning, does it help you when you're in that situation?
I don't think so. I think playing regularly and playing in the Champions League breeds consistency, breeds confidence off the back of a win maybe last night. And then you can probably dip into your squad and bring the players in that were on the bench that are also strong options. So, you know, it depends. I don't think you can call it before the game, really. I wouldn't rely on it from our point of view, and I don't think Antonio will really. He's got a strong squad that have picked up a couple of good results this week, so I'm sure they're in good nick.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Reg. Mike?
Frank, how do you get the balance when the performance, particularly in the first half against Manchester United, was way short of not just what you want, but what you've seen from the team this season? How do you get the balance when you get the players back in after that, to telling them what they did wrong, you know, that there was a lack of intensity, that losing possession in key areas needlessly? You don't want to hammer them, but you want to, you know, put over your point and make sure that they accept that.
I think you have to build up an element of trust between yourself and the players throughout, that having those conversations, if they're slightly not uncomfortable, but if you're just addressing something that's a bit of a negative, which you have to do, isn't a problem. And with the group we've got, I don't feel or that we get kickback. It's more like we want to get better. And when you say we were well below par, I mean, I was the first to say we weren't good enough. But the 2 goals we conceded in that game were, mistake, counter-attack moments, goal. So without those mistakes in itself, we probably win the game, even being a bit below par. So there's a balance to where we're at, and we mustn't be too down from that defeat. But if there's moments that we can improve the structure of the team, I'm not talking about necessarily a mistake of a misplaced pass, because I made plenty of those, and we all do. But the structure of the team, we'll always try and improve it. So it's not a problem. There's no big deal just to show players that. I'll talk about it because they're involved and they have to be part of that conversation.
You paid a heavy price for losing possession against one of the best counter-attacking teams in the country last weekend with Manchester United. It's same again, isn't it, with Tottenham, because they counter-attack at such an incredible pace that it's something to be really wary of, and you have to be.
Yeah, absolutely. And we got a lesson on Sunday of that, as I said. So we were very clear going into the Manchester United game that these 2 games coming up particularly are 2 big counter-attacking teams. So the message will be the same, and an understanding. The players will know that, and the rest is up to them on the pitch to deliver that.
I mean, will you get the players to do something differently? I mean, obviously you don't want them to give the ball away, but structurally, will you tweak 1 or 2 little things in terms of cover? Yeah,
possibly. It's moments of in possession, good possession. You want to have a structure that means that you're secure if the ball turns over, but sometimes I think the type of turnovers that we gave were very difficult to guard against. Otherwise, you just play with 10 men behind the ball, even when you got the ball. There are certain elements where you want to open up. But yeah, can we be a little bit tighter in those moments? For sure. But when you're talking about players of the class of Ronaldo and the idea and Anthony, like sometimes those things can happen. So yeah, we can tighten up on that.
And you were instrumental in getting the very best out of Richarlison last season. His goals and his performances helped to keep Everton up. What's it going to be like to be on the other side of things? How do you manage to keep a player of those abilities and that sort of intensity quiet? And are you surprised that somehow the rest of the football world seems to be surprised at how well he's done at Tottenham?
No, I'm not surprised, and I don't know why the rest of the world should be surprised, whether it's because he came from Everton. I don't know how maybe glamorous that might be for some people. It shouldn't be that case. Very, very talented players. Even when he was here, he was always Brazil's number 9 or off the side, and when you think about the competition for places he's got in that team. So I think he's well respected in the football world. So maybe there were certain other things that people were not so keen on. I always found him a pleasure to work with. Enjoyed working with him. In terms of, we know him very well, but his style is slightly unpredictable. It's probably one of the big pluses of him, how he plays, and it's continuous and a threat at all times. So no, we're aware of the threat, but we'll have to try and nullify it.
Thanks, Mike. We'll go to Alistair at the BBC.
Hi, Frank. Can I just check on Yerry Mina's injury? You said he had a setback.
Small calf injury.
Okay. I've seen some pictures today of Nathan Patterson and Ben Godfrey training again.
Yeah.
Can you give us an update on them?
Yeah, they're both training with a view for Patterson. We're hoping he'll be fit in 2 to 3 weeks. And Ben's a bit behind. It's his first days out really on the grass, so we're probably looking at the other side of the World Cup break.
Yeah. I was intrigued when you were talking before. You saying there's nothing better than proving people wrong, and you sort of mentioned that maybe Everton were maybe looking for people looking at being candidates for the drop, or maybe you being fired as well. I just wondered how you sort of thought about your evolution as a coach, really. Obviously, you've been at Derby and been here as well. Where do you think you are as a coach now, and how much you've learned in your time at Everton?
I've learnt a lot. It's been a pleasure to be here. A challenge on many levels, in terms of the club, in terms of the situation I came into and the feeling, and in terms of getting results and how we got them to stay in the league, and then in terms of trying to build a team. And that sounds really dramatic, but it's maybe not that dramatic. But when you bring in the amount of players we did and players left, you're working again. So they've been all really good challenges for me that I just feel I'm in the middle of, or just started or whatever. So yeah, I think with every year you try and improve. I think it's one of the biggest strengths of a coach to want to learn about themselves, about their team every day, and on that level I feel like I'm improving. But we'll always look at results, I suppose, from the outside, and that's something I can't always completely control. But can I work as well as I can with the players? I try to. It's for other people probably to comment on how well I'm doing or not.
Do you feel like you've proved people wrong there?
No. It's a constant, isn't it? You know, I think our world that we live in is from, you know, the greatest coach in the world to not very good with 1 or 2 defeats or whatever, these things. And from us as a club at Everton, where we are at the moment, you know, we can have a good season with possibly losing more games than you win. You know, that's an unfortunate reality. But you know, I have to try and stay level and understand that what feelings about me go on are not very important, particularly from the outside. It's actually what my players and staff feel about me in the building, because I have to lead here, and also what the Evertonians feel about me. That's all I care about at the moment. I'm not too bothered what anyone else would say, because that's going to float with the wind, that one.
Someone maybe who, I don't know whether he's proved people wrong or not, but obviously Alex Iwobi's performances have been great this season. He's got a great goal the other day. How would you say he's developing with you, and what would you say his best position is?
Well, at the moment, I think I said it last week, he's one of the best midfield players in the league, in my opinion, in terms of being a 6'8", played as a double 6 early in the season and was really, really good for us, and then moved into slightly more advanced 8, and again, his form's been great. So his development's been brilliant. I mean, it's a funny one, because I think there was a perception about Alex when I came in, and it's all his work. All I've done is support him and try and maybe adapt the position slightly, and then the rest is him. And so I felt and always saw that he'd be dangerous in the middle area of the pitch. It probably helped that I was a midfield player, and I understood it was some of the things he had I wouldn't want to go up against, and I felt they were sort of restricted on the wing, and the pitch, opening the pitch up more centrally was a big help for him, and then the rest is him. So I've been really pleased to see his development, and I just want more from him, because I think with what he's got attribute wise, I think there's still more to come.
Are you talking about his dribbling ability there then, when you say you wouldn't have liked to play against that sort of thing? Yeah, and sometimes you don't want to dribble in the middle of the park, but at the same time, when players in midfield have an ability to go past you, I always remember, I'm not comparing by the way, but I always remember Yaya Toure as a player, was a midfield player that could sort of take you in and then go past you both ways as such, and I always found that a difficult threat in game. So I think when a player has that talent and can play, but also has vision and pass and, you know, off the ball work rate, then I think it's something that you really want to work with and can be a big help for the team. And just last of all, is he the kind of player you're looking to maybe reward with a new contract? I know it's a fair way off his deal, but is contract talks ongoing at all with him? Yeah. I know that Kevin is speaking with Alex's people on that front, so we'll see how that one develops. So you want him long term, then you see a long term?
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Great, thanks.
Thanks, Alistair. We'll go to Carl at PA, please.
Hi, Frank. Just to go back on Anthony's yellow cards, it is still early in the season to be having this sort of suspension. I'm just wondering, do you go as far as analysing the bookings he's had and advising him on that?
Yeah, I think it's something to analyse, and I've had those conversations with Anthony.
Is it, from what you've seen, he's only a young lad, so is it youthful exuberance, or is it just a bit of naivety or inexperience? What do you think it's down to?
I think that's a conversation for me to have with Anthony. I don't think it's worth hanging on too much. He's taken on too many bookings. I'm more worried about his whole game and just working with him on that front, and the booking thing has been a small part of that too. But
you obviously were keen for him not for it to impact his overall play. So you're focused on what he offers the team, not.
Well, I don't want to lose him for a game, so that's the reality of it. And also, probably if you get an early booking, then it sort of changes the aspect of the game in the modern day so fast that you could get a red. So there's obvious reasons why you want to address that. And I've spoken with him about it.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much. We'll move on to the embargo section.
Cheers all. Thank you. Thank you. Cheers all. Thank you.